Well, hello and welcome to Frame.io Live. My name is Ryan, and today I am going to be taking you through Get to Know Frame.io version 4. I have a really great agenda for you today, doing a complete end-to-end overview of everything Frame.io, including admin settings, adding in users. We'll also be discussing the entire review and collaboration process, including uploading content, creating projects, and organizing. We'll also be talking about commenting and annotating metadata and collections, transcriptions, some text markup features, and of course, we'll be ending with some external sharing. But as a quick aside, we are recording today's session, so if you signed up today, you will also be receiving a recording of today's session after we wrap up via email. You also can see all previously recorded sessions available on our YouTube channel. You could certainly check those out as well. I'll be using the comment section as we go along today to drop in the chat a couple of support articles. You're welcome to bookmark those and follow along. You can also use that comment section for any questions that you have. I'll make sure that I address those as we go along over the course of today's session. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Hopefully you could see my instance of Frame.io. You are welcome to follow along with me here, or if you would like to pull up your own instance of Frame.io, you are more than welcome to do so as well. But as we get started, I did want to drop in the chat two support articles, one around just getting started, dropping that now, and a second one, which will lead you directly to our e-learning hub. This is a little bit more pertaining to our enterprise customers, but certainly has a handful of great resources, some videos to help guide and walk you through a couple of getting started resources. So if you're familiar with Frame, I would like to highlight that maybe you just upgraded to V4, maybe you're coming over from a retail plan to enterprise. You can certainly upload, comment, annotate, you can share out assets, you can do everything in Frame.io that you know and love. We are a cloud-based review and collaboration for video, for PDFs, for photos. You can do all of those things within version 4, of course, but there's a ton of new features and functionality that will really enable it to help take your creative process to the next level. We are web-based, so I'm just here under app.frame.io. You also can access the platform via iPhone and iPad apps, and we do have an integrated panel for Premiere Pro, and later in the year, we'll also have an integrated panel with After Effects. We won't go through those together today, but if you have questions or would like to see some resources, please let me know. Starting with some organization here, let's talk workspaces. These are the highest level of organization that exists within your account. You can see that I have a couple that exist right here. I have one called marketing, another called Ryan's team. If you're an enterprise customer, you can create as many workspaces as you would like. The benefit, not only being that you could stay organized and content will stay within these different workspaces, but you also can control which users have access to which workspace. So for example, I could invite in a user just into my marketing workspace, which means that users will see all of the projects within that space, but won't see anything associated with Ryan's team. Okay. Speaking of users, there are a couple of different user role types. I did want to go through those together today. I am an account owner, which means I have full access across workspaces, projects, and content. Directly beneath or below the owner is the content admin. So this user has access across all workspaces, projects, and content, but differs from the account owner in that they can't actually make global changes to account settings. Just control the users within the project and the various access and permissions based on your workflow. There are a handful of different user role types. I'm going to highlight all of these now. So you can invite users in as members. Could be important to ask yourself, what exactly do I need these individuals to do? And do they actually need to occupy a license? Anybody who's here does occupy a license, starting with full access. These members, they can manage all resources within Workspace, including access to restricted content. You can add a member as edit and share as listed here. They can manage resources to download and share your content. You can add a user just as edit who can create, move, upload content. You can have somebody just be comment only or view only. Again, all of these users do occupy a license. However, there is one user role type called reviewer. These individuals never occupy a seat. They simply just receive content that you've shared with them. So it could be important to ask, do I actually need my member to perform tasks within my account? That would certainly differentiate between whether they need to be a member or if they could simply just be a reviewer. I just dropped in the chat a support article that outlines the various user roles and permissions. Would highly recommend checking that out. That's one of the more frequent questions that I receive as a customer success manager. All right. And we could go down here to the bottom left-hand corner and click on our account settings. From here, I did want to walk through exactly what all these settings are just to set you up for success. Every single user associated with your account has the control over this personal setting within the settings. They can edit their photo and their name. This enables you to determine which user actually left a comment associated with an asset. I would recommend that your users at least add in their name, if not a photo. Underneath this profile tab, users can also adjust their login credentials. If you are an enterprise customer, we can certainly enable multi-factor authentication or SSO for your account as well. I just saw a couple other folks join in on the call today. Hello, welcome. This is Get to Know Frame.io V4. Any questions as we go along today, feel free to drop them in the chat. This is a completely live session. Want to make sure I can help answer any questions that you may have around workflow or anything specific to Frame. Don't hesitate to give me a shout. Continuing on talking about some of our settings, there are notification settings that each individual user can adjust, starting with email settings. It would be a lot if you as a user received an email anytime an action occurred within the account. So we created a digest frequency by which you receive emails in order to get a summary of actions within your account. This option up here at the top can enable you to select how frequently you receive this summary or this digest of actions within your account, ranging from 5 minutes, 15 minutes, hourly, daily, or never. You can determine specific granular comments to commenting or assets. So, what type of notification do you want to receive? You can receive an in-app, an email, or a push notification. For general comments, comment replies, or app mentions, again, you can select either in the app via email or push notification. You can customize these to your desire. There's also an option here for assets. So do you want to receive notifications when assets are uploaded, when other people upload assets, when the status of an asset changes, when content is assigned to you, or for various transcription activity? We can certainly chat a little bit more about what these features entail in just a bit. Usage. This tab will give you an overview of the members, reviewers, storage, and storage that occupies your account. Plan. The plan and the billing tabs are more pertinent to our retail plan. So if you are on a pro or a teams plan, this is where you could change your plan type or update your billing details. If you are a content admin or an owner, I would say that the users, groups, workspaces, and projects tab might be a location where you'll spend some time. Starting with users. Depends on your account type. You may see a banner up here indicating that your account is an Adobe managed account. That simply just means that you are on a contract type that includes the Adobe admin console, in which case an admin would need to add in users. But if you don't see that tab up there, you can invite in new users by clicking on this option in the top right corner, determining if you want them to be a content admin or a member, and just simply sending them an email. So let's say that I want to invite in my colleague Luke. I can add in Luke's email address. I can, of course, add in multiple email addresses and just click add. You can see here that Luke is currently a pending user. So Luke doesn't actually have access to any projects or workspaces within my account quite yet. I will have to add in Luke. This is simply just an admin overview where I'm able to add in Luke to my account, but then still need to specify exactly where I want Luke to access content. Not only from this tab can I invite in users, but I can also view existing users where I could see their last activity date. And by clicking on a specific user, I also can determine which workspaces and projects they're a part of. Groups. Groups pertain to creating a group of users. So let's say you know that you need to invite in the same individuals into a project every time it's created. You can create a group of those users. So you don't have to input their email address every time. You could simply just type in the group. So this is an effort to save you a little bit of time within your account. But let's say we have a group of directors that we know we're going to be inviting every time. Let's go ahead and add in like a little camera emoji here. And let's type in directors and create. Now that I have created this group of directors here, I can add in individual members. So let's say April, Jacob, and Luke, we know are going to be a part of this group. Again, this will just help save me some time when I'm actually adding users into a space. Workspaces. Remember, these are the highest level of organization that exists within your account. You can create as many as you would like. Similar to the Users tab, by clicking on this Workspace section, you can see which members and which projects occupy space within your workspace. You can also create a new workspace here. Let's say that we're working on a fall campaign. You can go ahead and type that in here. And I can create this new workspace. And then from here at my homepage, I'm able to create projects within that workspace. We'll get to that in just a bit. This option here for projects enables me to view all of the projects associated with my account. And at a high level overview, I can see the amount of storage that's being occupied in each project, when it was created, and the last updated date. These dates can certainly help me inform, do I actually need to remove this from my account or can I keep it? I also can filter based on the users to see which project those users are a part of. Workspaces, I also can view any deleted projects and can bring them back if needed. Branding. From here, I can select the name of my account and the title if desired. This section here for shares actually is a default share. I've made mine purple and black for Frame.io colors specifically, but from here, I am able to create a default for every time I create an external share link, the colors and branding that I want associated with it. The benefit here being that I can have by default all shares match either my own custom logo and header or perhaps maybe that of my organization. Content security. This tab here. Let's talk a little bit about some of these various settings. The first being share settings. I can customize exactly how I want users to actually interact with the links that I generate for external sharing. The first being that I can require a passphrase for public shares. I can shut that off if desired as well. I also can set a default for link expiration. Again, this pertains to the link that I'm sending out, maybe to external stakeholders. Do I actually want to have a default share expiration? Yes or no? In addition to allowing share downloads, I want this to apply globally for my entire account. Looks like I have a question from Jenna. It sounds like I can add in my whole team as members with their work emails all under one account. Yes, that's correct, Jenna. So you can certainly invite in all of those users with their work email addresses. They could stay within one account, but then you can also create various workspaces and projects to just give them a little bit more of a differentiation between space. Jenna, yes, you can. Can you give them all upload and delete permissions so they can be responsible for their own projects? Yes, you could certainly create your own projects and then just invite them into the project space. I could showcase that here in just a moment. Good questions. Talking about some of our settings here, though, before we transition over to talk about the projects. Secure share settings. These are enterprise specific features. So if you're not on an enterprise plan, you might not see these available for your account. The first being authorized domain limitations. So I can enable it where only specific users who have an authorized domain can access my content. So for example, at adobe.com, only members with that email address are able to view external shares. Secure sharing means that users will need to sign into a Frame.io account before they can view the content that I've shared with them. The benefit here being that it's just an added layer of security. The only user that can view my content is if they sign in using that same email address. I can make that a default option, or I can make a public link default as well. Just depends on the level of security that you prefer for the content that you're sharing. Watermark. I can also apply watermark on internal assets, or I can also require watermark on external shares just by clicking on these options. But speaking of watermark, let's go ahead and create a new template together. Let's go ahead and just call this one 2025. I can enable the name, email address, IP address, date and time, and custom text for a watermark. Depends on your account type. You may just see some static watermark options. There is the option to also adjust the opacity, the rotation of the text, and I can certainly have text scroll if desired as well. Let's go ahead and shut this off, but let's say I just want to have a couple of little texts that are up here in the top right corner. I certainly can do so. Additionally, I can add a secondary text block, move it anywhere that I would like on the screen. I can even have that scrolling. So now that I've created this watermark template, my users can access it at a later date when sharing externally. All right, I know that we just went through all of the settings here on the account. Any additional questions, let me know. I'm going to go ahead and click home up here in the top left corner, which will take me back to this main page where I can see my workspaces and my projects. You can also see that I have my new fall campaign workspace where then I can create projects. Jenna, that question that you were asking around members and having them be responsible for their own projects, from here on this main page, by clicking over here on the right-hand side, you can invite in users. By doing so, those users will automatically have default to every single project within a workspace. Okay. So let's say I want April to automatically have access to everything in my fall campaign. I can do so. Alternatively, I can create a new project. There's actually a couple of templates here, which you could check out. So if you feel so inclined, you can create a project based on a template and include sample content. If you're new to Frame, I'd recommend that. But let's say we want to create our own blank project and call this one casting photos. I can open up this project within my workspace. And Jenna, up here on the top right corner, I could just invite in a member exclusively at the project level. So I just invited Jacob in. Now Jacob is the only one that has access to this specific project. Mike was asking, can you create your own templates? Not yet. That is feedback that we've gotten, and I've submitted it to our product teams. Right now, there is not the ability to create your own custom templates, but I believe it's coming in the future. Good feedback. But speaking of projects, there is a way that you can organize these projects to kind of fit the need that you have. So you can certainly determine if you want this to be thumbnail or in list format. You also can mark a project as inactive. So let's say this drip ad project here, I want to mark it as inactive. It's just going to hide it from this homepage, so I don't have visibility to it. But I can filter it back in where I can view all of my projects, including inactive projects, which I can flip back over to active and bring it back over to this home page, filter it out so I only see my active projects. That way you're able to determine exactly how you view your content. Certainly a easier way to stay organized. Any inactive project will still occupy space within your account, but you just won't be able to see it. You also can sort based on the name, the date created, or the status of each individual project. All right. So let's go ahead and open up this casting photos project. And from here, I have a complete empty sandbox where I'm able to get to work. So I can upload content in a couple of different ways. The first, I can simply just drag and drop content from my desktop over into my account. I also can click the plus button up here and I can upload content, or I could use this big upload button right here in the middle of my screen. Let's say I want to open up my casting photos. I can go ahead and select a whole bunch of these PNG files and go ahead and upload them to my account. Mike, yes, inactive projects are hidden at all user levels. Good question. When I upload content, I do want to draw your attention over here to the left-hand side. This status bar will indicate how long it will take for your content to upload. You also have the ability to select this content, and it will take you directly to this location in the project for you to then view your recently uploaded content. I uploaded some PNGs, but if I was to upload some video files, a number of things take place. So we always upload the original file that's being imported and saved into Frame.io. You can always access the original if you need to download it. But we do transcode and create lightweight web and mobile friendly proxy versions of your content. So you can play it back from anywhere that you have access to Frame. And you can also select the various proxy version, which is a huge differentiator of Frame to some of our competitors. You are able to view any of those proxy versions and then, of course, download the original later. But once content is actually uploaded into Frame, I now can move it around and organize it how I see fit, including creating folders or moving or copying content over. So I can simply just create a new folder. And let's say I want to rename this folder, let's just call it photos. I can drag and drop photos into this folder, or alternatively, I can multi-select a couple of these options. By doing a right finger click, I also can copy, move, or duplicate. So let's say I actually want to copy content over and I want to move it into my photos folder. I can copy it over. You could see that it's going to just create a new copy and move it directly over. Or I can move it into this folder section, which will eliminate it and will also move over any comments and annotations associated. Alternatively, I can create a new restricted folder. This means that users will actually need to be invited in before they could see it. So you could see here, I created this folder, it's restricted, nobody has access to it yet. I do have to add in these users, even if they're a part of that project. So now I have this new restricted folder where I can add in additional content, and only the users that are invited in will be able to see it. I'm calling this one restricted content. Any questions about uploading content, moving, or organizing? Please let me know. I'm going to click on my left-hand corner to go to my home screen, and I do want to go to a project that's a little bit more built out under this option for short edits. We're going to be spending some time here working on our drip campaign, which is an energy drink campaign that our teams have created. There's a couple of different types of collateral that we have in here, but let's say that the final deliverable that we're working on is a couple of highlight reels that we want to deploy to social media. We certainly can see these listed right here, but let's just pretend that we're going through this entire end-to-end workflow process together. But before we proceed, I did just want to give you a brief tour of what you're looking at and some of the ways that you can customize how you interact with Frame.io. I want to draw your attention to the top right corner, where you're going to see a handful of panel options. This panel view will enable you to view this folder tree right here, where you can move content around. So you could even leverage this folder tree to organize your content. From here, you can also view collections, which kind of function like smart folders. So you can gather a group of metadata fields and put them into a collection. We'll talk about this in a bit. And from this panel, you also can view all share links, anything that you've shared out externally. Up here in the top, you have the option to customize how you view your content. So you can change your layout from thumbnail to list view. You also can change the card size depending on how you want to view your content, including the aspect ratio, the thumbnail size, fit or fill. You can see that that's going to adjust here at the thumbnail level. I can also flatten my folders, which will reveal all the content within my account. This option here for fields up at the top is for metadata fields. We'll get to that in just a bit. And then I can actually sort my content based on metadata fields or custom fields. Patrick, with traffic, I haven't touched on Premiere Pro. We won't be going through that in today's session, but there is an integration with Premiere Pro that's available. Highly recommend that you download it and check it out. Speaking of this panel view, you also can open up additional panels. So you can open up by clicking on this panel specifically. You can view not only the asset here within your project, you can watch it. And by opening up this third panel, you also can see all comments associated. So just a quick way at a high level overview for you to be able to go through all of your content and view any comments and assets right here within your project page. Let's talk a little bit more about commenting and annotating. Let's open up this footage section. I know that we just viewed a little bit more of a final deliverable, but let's say that we're still going through our review and approval process. We're trying to determine with our editors like which clips and which cuts we wanted to include in our assets. I can just do a brief thumbnail scrubbing view here of our assets. I know that these two assets are similar. I do want to showcase one of my favorite features, which is called version stacking. This enables me to keep like assets together. So I can take one asset and just drag and drop it over the next. You can see here that there's a little V2, which indicates that there's two different versions as part of this stack. I could continue dragging and dropping like a third version in here if desired. But from here, I can then select which version I want to see, keeps them all together. But I also have the option to compare these versions side by side. So let's say that I have a different voiceover, maybe a different song. I can see exactly which edits have been completed. And this just gives me a way to consolidate all of these edits all in one place. As an extra benefit, I also can share out this version stack externally. So that way my stakeholders can see which versions have been updated and all of the incremental updates along the way. By clicking on each individual version, it's also going to reveal the comments associated with it as well. By doing a two-finger click, I also have the ability to manage the versions. So I can move around these different versions as part of my stack, or I can remove versions from my version stack as well if I want to just keep all of these assets separate. Let's talk a little bit about commenting and annotating. There's a whole bunch of different types of comments and annotations that I can make. A single comment, a range based. I can at mention users. I also can do an annotation, like drawing on the screen. I can leave a hashtag for keywords. I can leave an anchored comment, and I also can upload a file to a comment as well. All right, so we just watched this section here. Let's say that we just want to keep a couple of small clips from our runner here rounding around this corner. I really like the rays of light coming through. This looks really nice. But let's leave just a single based comment right off the bat. Let's just leave something nice for our video team. I like this shot. Okay. By clicking on this comment, it's going to reveal directly this location within my timeline where that comment was left and by whom. I also have the ability to leave a range-based comment. Let's say something like, can we edit this out? But what am I talking about exactly? Let's go ahead and use these brackets right over here where I can indicate which portion I want to edit out. I can even hold down shift to get rather precise about the time frame and time code. This enables me to select a specific period of time in my timeline to indicate that this is the portion that I'm referring to. So let's say we want to edit out this first part right here. I also can indicate to a specific user, one of our editors, maybe Jacob. Jacob will then receive a notification to remove this portion. And you can see here that there's now a white line indicating that this portion is going to be edited out. All right, let's keep going. I can also draw an annotation directly on my screen indicating where I'm referring to for a comment. I really like the rays of light coming through. I think this looks really nice. I can indicate maybe to our VFX team that we want to brighten up the sky in the background. It looks just a bit washed out. So let's go ahead and indicate maybe by typing in hashtag VFX, we could do a hashtag. I'm saying, can we brighten up the sky so it's a bit more blue? It looks washed out. I can even leave another at mention here in my comment, but let's go ahead and draw an annotation just so our team knows exactly where I'm referring to. There's an arrow, a line, a box, or draw freehand. Let's go ahead and use an arrow and let's make it pink. I can draw an arrow right over here that this is the portion that I am referring to on my display. And let's go ahead and click send. By clicking on this comment, it's going to indicate exactly where my annotation is located. It's just an added benefit here that is hidden when you're actually viewing the asset, so it doesn't uh, add an extra distraction. An anchored comment, that's actually located right down here in the bottom next to our settings here. But using this anchored comment, I can click anywhere then on my display to drop a pin to a location that I want to leave a comment. I could drop a pin and say, do we have a voiceover script yet? I'm indicating this portion right here on my screen and click send. And you can see here that when I click on it, it's going to open up this pin. I've especially seen this used on PDFs or JPEGs as well. And then lastly, I can leave an attachment of a file. So let's say that I do have that and I'm a different user, maybe just replying directly back to this voiceover. I could say, yes, we do. It is attached. And then I can select an attachment from somewhere on my desktop, like this voiceover script, for example, and I can click send, which will directly lead me into this comment section here, which is rather dynamic. It's not just kind of a static comment that's done, but your team can use this comment section like a checklist. So you can mark a comment as complete, like this is already done. You saw me reply back directly to a comment, but you could simply just leave in an emoji to indicate that you've seen something or that you like it. Benefit here being too that you can filter out specific comments. So you can see just annotations, just attachments. You even can filter out so you only see comments associated with a hashtag or associated with a person. I also can copy and paste these comments elsewhere, like onto a different asset. Maybe I duplicate this and copy it over. I also can export these comments and I have the ability to print them. By clicking print, it's going to open up a PDF doc with an audit trail of my assets and the comments that I left. Pretty cool. On this player page too, down here in the bottom, you have the option for play pause, for loop. You can adjust the playback speed or the audio. Your users can also select the time format. And over here in the bottom right, I know I highlighted this anchored comment section, but if you go to the settings, you also can adjust the quality. These are the proxy versions that I mentioned. Guides, so you can add in guides. For example, if you want to see how something will show up in social media, you can apply that. You also can set a still as the thumbnail, and you also have the ability to download the still as well. Whole bunch you could do with this comment section. Questions about commenting? Jenna, I noticed that the Slack integration is no longer available. Will that be coming back? Hey, Jenna, I'm not sure. I know that we have APIs that are available in V4, so it might be something that you're able to build, but I'm not sure if it's coming back as a native integration or not. I can certainly drop in the chat an API documentation that I have if you have some folks or developers that are so inclined to build it out. All right, so I'm dropping in the chat now a link to our dev site where you can explore what it could look like to build your own integration with Slack. I don't know if this will be coming back native or not, though. Diane, previously we could download comments as a CSV. Is that something that's still an option? Yes. Over here on the right, you can export and you can select TXT, CSV, um, XML. That exists here. I don't see CSV as an option, but oh yeah, CSV is right here under the comma separated, just by clicking on the three dots and export. Nice. Any questions about commenting on a video? And you're welcome. Perfect. Let's talk a little bit about some new features specifically for text-based markup, and then I do want to talk a little bit about transcriptions. But if you upload PDF into Frame, there's a couple of different ways that you can interact with a PDF that is different and updated in V4. So the first being that you can actually select text in the documents to draw attention to it. So for example, I can use this suggestion for text right over here. In my little collateral here, I have Frame.io for video, photography, and marketing teams. This is from April of 2023. Let's just make sure that we update this. So there's a couple of options here that I can change. So I can suggest edits by inserting new text, suggesting a deletion, or replacing text as well. So let's go ahead and suggest that we replace 2023 with 2025 and remove April. And then you could see over here on the right-hand side that this comment is going to show up as a replacement suggestion, and it's going to highlight this text. I also have the ability to search for a keyword within a PDF. So I just did a Command F search, and let's say that we want to search within our document for like Frame.io as an example. I certainly can do so. I do want to drop it in the chat now an article around this text-based editing because this is new. But you also can export comments as well, and the text markup will be included in all other comment export formats. So if you wanted to export this as a CSV, you could do so as well. Similar up here in the top right corner by clicking export, and it will determine if it's a suggestion or the various types of text-based commenting. Great. Another feature that I would like to showcase is transcriptions. This actually pertains to generating transcripts for audio and video assets. So I now have the ability to generate a transcript just by clicking generate. So I could take these various assets here. I can multi-select or I can single select. And by going to the bottom right-hand corner, I now can generate a transcript and determine one of 18 languages for the transcription and click transcribe. In doing so, I then can open up this asset and view the transcription right down here on the bottom right, like where the text-based editing was. And it's actually going to show me a full transcript of this interview with closed captioning automatically applied. That's both for the web platform and for iOS. You then can search for specific text or find key moments by clicking on any word in the transcript. You also can create a range-based comment by selecting multiple text. So let's say I want to use this option right here. I can leave a comment like on the word room and say, let's use this soundbite. By clicking on it, it's also going to take me over to this version of the transcript. Mike, can transcripts be downloaded? They can. So by going up here in the top left corner and by clicking on these three dots, you can export in either SRT, VTT, or TXT format. You also have the option to edit the transcript in the instance where some of the language is a little bit different. You certainly can make adjustments to that transcript as well. But yes, Mike can be exported as well, which is pretty cool. Great. All right. Over here in the top right corner next to the comment section is fields. These actually pertain to the metadata fields. We're going to discuss this with a little bit more depth, but you can see this at the individual asset level. So these are all various metadata fields that I can apply, some of which ranging from file type down to customizable options like keywords that could be added or notes that could be applied via a metadata tag. Currently, metadata tagging exists just at the project level, but it's coming account-wide later this year. Oh, a question from Scott. Is there the ability for transcripts to determine speakers or speaker names as indicated by speaker one, two, three, etc.? I don't think that that exists quite yet, Scott. It's just an overview of the transcript itself. Let me open it up. That's the first time I've gotten that question. No, it looks like it will just show the period of time, but it won't quite show the user. That's good feedback. Certainly recommend submitting that to our teams. I can show you how you can do that too, so that would you can follow along if adjustments are made. But speaking of metadata fields, up here in the top in the middle, there's 33 metadata fields that exist out of the box, but you can apply or create your own custom metadata fields. You can see that there's a whole bunch that are checked on here. By clicking on my short edits section, you can actually see that these assets have metadata fields applied to them. So final edit, rating, release date, release platform, scene, and status are all checked on, which means that I can automatically see them here on my homepage. I can create a new metadata field by clicking new field. Let's say that you have your own specific approval process. You can then determine if you want single select, multi-select, date, rating, person, multiple people, toggle, long text, or single line text. Let's create a single select option here. And maybe I have my own approval processes like in progress, approved, denied. In progress, let's keep that yellow. Let's make approved green, and we can make denied red. By creating my own custom metadata field, you can then see that I have my approval process here. Let's change all of these to approve just for all intents and purposes. But I can go into additional footage assets over here and view my metadata fields, for example, approval process in progress. I can also multi-select assets and can change the approval process to in progress, for example. The neat thing about that metadata is I can search for it here. So let's say we want to do like rating. Rating is 5 stars. I can search that here. You can see my file type here or rating. I can change all of that. I also have the ability then to create a collection based off of my metadata tags that I've created. So you can see here that I have a collection that I've already created called the collection of 5-star assets. This goes hand in glove with assets that are marked with a specific metadata tag. There's an option here for fields or filters. So right now, this collection I built where the filter is anything that has 5 stars. But a collection will auto update once I add additional features to it that match that specific metadata field. So let's say I go through and I'm doing a review approval process and I mark all of these with 5 stars. Let's go back to our collection. You can see that this collection then auto updates to apply whatever metadata fields that I had filtered to reflect to do so here. I can also create my own new collection. So let's call this one approval process. I also can add in my own custom header. I can have it be small, medium, or large. I also can add in my own background image. I could upload something from my desktop, or I could choose one of these pre-selected options. I can also move that around on my screen. But then from here, I can determine, do I want to snag this collection from just an individual folder or from everywhere in my project? I also can choose the appearance. I can adjust the filter. So let's see approval process is approved. So this collection is now only going to show me assets that match those fields. And the cool thing about this collection, now that I've created it, is I can actually share it out externally. So once I click share, it's just going to generate a share link based off of that metadata field that will automatically apply anytime adjustments are made with metadata tags that are applied to assets that match this approval process. I can take this collection a step deeper though. For example, this final assets option. This one has multiple metadata fields applied to it. So it's filtered where the option for final asset is checked yes, but it's grouped based on a metadata field, which is release platform. So this collection has all of my final assets for Instagram, for YouTube, for Facebook, because it's leveraging the metadata fields that are applied to these tags based on this release platform. I've seen this used for legal approvals. I've seen it used for specific people. So you can apply a metadata tag where you know that the same person's going to have to review content. You're going to create a collection, or you could, based off of editors, based on editing stage. Sky's kind of the limit for the way that you use this metadata and collections. Really neat how they go hand in glove. I know that I created a share link, which can be applied right down here or viewed right down here on the left-hand side for approval process. But anytime I create a share link, whether it's from a collection or just a blank share link from an asset, I then have complete control over how I leverage and utilize this share link. If you came from V3, maybe you were familiar with a review link and a presentation link. There's now just one link for shares that could be customized to mimic that of a presentation link. So, starting with visibility, you could change this link to be secure or public. Remember, secure sharing, that's where a user has to sign into a Frame.io account before they can view your content. You can adjust the layout ranging from grid to list to reel. This reel format now is going to show up in purple because that's the default that I had created under my settings for branding. This reel format is most similar to a presentation link, where it's a little bit more static. I can also disallow comments from occurring on this link. So let's say I have a more final deliverable where I just want somebody to see my completed content without actually commenting back on it. I could do that and create a reel. I could select either a passphrase, an expiration date, or a watermark. I also can create my own custom permissions. I don't want to allow users to comment this. I don't want to show transcripts or CC. I do want to show all versions in the event that there is a version stack. I also can adjust the fields that users can assign or change. So let's say that I have a 5-star rating as part of a collection. I can enable reviewers to use the statuses to change that filtered as well, or they could simply just leave a comment, however complex you want users to get. But let's say I copy this link. Let's go ahead and open it up in a new tab. This is exactly what I see as a user. You can see here it's a little bit more of a final deliverable with my watermark applied. I also don't have the option to leave comments, but I do have the option to see some of these metadata fields. Alternatively, if I wanted to make adjustments to this link, like make it grid format and I do want to allow comments. I want to show all versions and show transcripts. I can make all of these adjustments to this link. And by refreshing it, you can see that it's going to auto adjust this link as well. So you can make as many adjustments or changes as you would like. But now I, as a user, have the ability to leave comments and view previously applied comments as well. You can create a share link from nothing. So if you wanted to just click this plus button, you can create a share link and then drag and drop content into the share link, just like so. Or alternatively, I could select a folder or a collection of assets here, group of assets, and do a two-finger click and can either add content to an existing share link or can generate my own share link, which will then enable me to create my own custom header and customize exactly how I want users to interact with it as well. All right, we've gone through a good amount of content together today. I know that we went into our account settings, chatted about user roles, projects and workspaces, uploading content, commenting and annotating, metadata and collections, transcriptions, text markup, and sharing. A couple of things I want to leave you with before we wrap up today. Down here in the bottom left-hand corner, there's an option for keyboard shortcuts. So you can see a full list of ways that you could save a little bit of time leveraging these keyboard shortcuts. I highly recommend that you check those out. There's also an option down here to submit a feature request. So, Scott, feel free to submit a feature request for the transcriptions to determine between speakers. Our product teams would love to hear from you. And then down here in the bottom left, there's also an option to submit some feedback. So, or chat with our support team. You can actually see over here on the right hand side, these are some live users that are chatting right now, but you can actually write into our team to send a message. They're available 24/7. So, any questions you have, our team is here. I do want to drop in the chat too an article that goes directly to our knowledge base. There's a ton of really great resources available in our knowledge base. It looks like this. And from here, you can check out everything from organizing your content to camera to cloud, enterprise specific features. There's also some options in here for Premiere as well. So if you wanted to see the V4 comments panel and anything pertaining to Premiere Pro, I would recommend starting here as well. Cool. Whether you are brand new to Frame or whether you are a seasoned pro, I'd like to say on behalf of our entire team, thanks so much for joining me today and for all the questions that you have. I will be available here next week, so I'll be right back here doing the same session again next week. If you feel so inclined, come back and join me. But thank you again for your engagement today. I hope that this was a helpful way to get started with V4. I'll see you again next time. Thank you. Take care.